Could I interest you in a short adventure game with a lonely girl searching for her parents while some strange things happen around her house? Welcome to Strig's Game Café, everyone. Have a cup of Escaped Chasm. Truth be told, Escaped Chasm is a game I've wanted to play for a long while, dating all the way back to my old Twitch streams. Back then I ended up not doing it because I ran into some recording issues with OBS, and so I never got around to doing it. Until now, that is. Luckily I did manage to keep myself spoiler free. All I knew about this game was that it was a short adventure game made by Temmie Chang, yes, that Temmie from Undertale, and that it starred a lonely girl as the protagonist. That was pretty much it. And I suppose when you look at its core, that's pretty much what Escaped Chasm is. A short journey featuring themes of isolation, which is far from a bad thing, really. How does that one meme go again? Yeah, that's the one. The story starts with a short movie. The lonely girl... by the way, the game never gives her a proper name. The lonely girl talks about her dreams in which she visits another world. More specifically, how she sees things through the eyes of a girl she admires, and how she wants to become that girl one day. The lonely girl then wakes up, and we begin day 1. Escaped Chasm has a total of 4 days, each with different set events or interactions you must go through in order to progress. Each day ends with the girl writing in her diary and then going to bed. The first 2 days aren't that eventful. In day 1, you just need to examine Melody, that's the pet snake, then go and knock on the door to her parents' bedroom, and then, I think, try to call them through the phone. Apparently the parents of the lonely girl have left her alone for a long time, as in days or maybe even weeks, and she's waiting for them to come back. Naturally, in true RPG Maker adventure game fashion, you can interact with pretty much anything. A lot of the interactions don't really provide you with items or text changes, but they're still fun to watch. For example, you can look around and see each picture around the house in detail. Well, as much detail as the pixelated art style allows. You can go to the kitchen and make the girl eat spoonfuls of sugar? Just raw sugar? Like that? I actually try to eat a lot more than would be considered safe for human consumption in my first run, but aside from the second spoon onward adding a text change, nothing major happened because of it. One other interesting thing to check is the mirror. The reaction the lonely girl has to her own reflection is very interesting. Text says it's you, which I need to mention is also a thing in Undertale since Temmie worked on that game as well, but then says you look cute today. So whether this points to the lonely girl's lack of self-esteem or the fact that she's genuinely been alone for so long that her own reflection scared her is up to you. The final thing worthy of note for now is the TV. During day 1, you can actually watch a short animation. It's supposed to be an in-game series with new episodes airing daily. Some kind of battle anime, I suppose? And then... oh. So for some reason, everything went black when I came back. I was apparently still moving around and interacting with stuff, but the black overlay from the cutscene was still there and I had to restart. I'm only mentioning this because it was the only bug I got, but the game is short enough that resetting wasn't really a problem. After performing the interactions I talked about, you need to go and write in the diary. Here the lonely girl talks about her missing parents and how Melody appears sick, but she doesn't know what to do. She laments not being more like the girl she sees in the other world. Then she goes to sleep, hoping tomorrow will be a better day. Gotta say, I like the detail of her glasses appearing on the desk. I just think that's nice. You get a short dream sequence of the girl going to school, but instead of socializing, she prefers keeping to herself and drawing, imagining the other world we see in the pictures on her bedroom walls. Day 2 plays very similarly, but has a few different interactions. To my knowledge, neither the door to the other bedroom or the phone are mandatory here, but the former will give slightly different text. However, Melody has stopped moving. Poor guy. What you do need to do is go to the living room. From the start, you'll notice the armchair is different from the previous day. Interacting with the TV shows you this, after which the girl will become too afraid to turn on the TV again. Going back, we find ourselves face to face with a hot demon guy. Game's words, not necessarily mine. We don't get a name for him yet either. Anyway, Hot Demon Guy reacts to the lonely girl's surprise by retaining a mysterious air and, as this character archetype usually does in game intros, spouting cryptic bullshit. In this case, cryptic bullshit about how he prefers to watch, I mean how he's just here to watch and see what happens. After which he disappears because why wouldn't he? The lonely girl then records the events of the day, believing Melody to just be asleep somehow and Hot Demon Guy to have been a hallucination. As Hot Demon Guys usually are. Going to sleep, we get a dream of the girl searching for her parents with no success, and instead she finds someone else. Day 3 starts looking like more of the same. Knocking on the door to the other room still holds no results. Neither does using the phone. But hey, the armchair's back, so hooray! After checking around a bit, your only choice is to go outside, and once there... Oh! Hot Demon Guy is here again. This time he's a bit more direct though, saying that it isn't safe outside and the girl should turn back, which she immediately does. However, if you try to turn back and walk to the bottom of the screen, you get this. That was the first of the game's 4 endings. It's the earliest one you can get, and the only one on day 3. Now, I know I joked about cryptic stuff earlier, but I have to say I actually love how much is not explained here. It doesn't come entirely out of the blue, given the atmosphere outside the house, and actively gives the player more questions to keep playing for. So, let's keep playing. Like I said before, since the game is so short, playing everything all over again to get all the endings does not feel like a hassle at all. This time, I stay indoors on day 3, then immediately go write in the diary. Most of it is the lonely girl panicking over this incomprehensible situation she found herself in. In her dream, we get to see that one dog-like creature again, as well as the eye we saw on the TV. Finally, we catch a glimpse of this girl with bunny ear eyes? Day 4 starts and, well, alright then. Going through the house, you can check everything that's been distorted. The pictures, the phone, the TV, the mirror, even the sugar pot. Several items in the house have a different description this time around. Speaking of new, what's that in the kitchen? A demon doll? A great sign of things to come, that's for sure. This choice of whether you want to take the doll with you leads to the game's other 3 endings. To get ending 2, you need to refuse to get the doll, after which the girl will get a bad feeling. Go upstairs and this time go into the parents' bedroom. Well, that leaves me with even more questions. I can see that the girl in the room looks similar to the doll, but it's hard to make sense of anything else. If you take the doll, that locks you into one of the game's final 2 endings. Going upstairs and entering the parents' room again, you'll be directed to a diary entry written by the mom. Apparently they sensed whatever it is that's happening right now, and that is why they had to leave, realizing it was already too late for them. Whatever that means, the lonely girl is obviously distraught at this revelation. But before we can think about it too much, we catch a glimpse of Hot Demon Guy going straight for the girl's room. And naturally, since we have no other choice, we follow. In there, Hot Demon Guy has some exposition to give. He says that this world is about to disappear due to a certain incident happening in another world, the very same one depicted in the lonely girl's pictures. He's searching for the person responsible for all this craziness and, stumbling across this disappearing realm, decided to stick around and witness its end. The lonely girl then asks about her parents. At first, Hot Demon Guy just confirms what we already knew, that they're gone for good. But then he turns around and says that there is a way they can be brought back. For that, the lonely girl would need to travel to the other world. Problem is, if she does, she would also lose all memories of this one. And it is in this context that we get the final choice of the game, to stay or leave. Staying causes the girl to crumble down in tears, unable to leave the precious memories of her parents behind. Hot Demon Guy then leaves and the world turns into an empty chasm. Choosing to leave, on the other hand, makes him open the doorway to the other world. The lonely girl steps through and... Well, that's it. These are all the endings for the game. There's no more content. Or is there? Because in the same folder as the game, you can find Escaped Chasm 2. And in it is... Okay, but seriously now. If you've read the title, you know the story doesn't end here. For those unaware, Escaped Chasm is part of a larger universe also featured in 2 short animations on Temmie Chang's YouTube channel, Dwellers of the Mountain's Forest and Dwellers' Empty Path. I highly recommend watching them both and then coming back here. I mean, come on, they're less than 5 minutes long if put together. Surely our collective attention spans haven't got that bad yet, have they? I mean, I know this is coming from a guy whose productivity is heavily reliant on the playlists he listens to during work, but... yeah, that's the stuff. Oh, sorry, what we're talking about? Oh, yeah, the animated shorts. They're listed right there in the description. So, did you watch them? If so, you might have noticed that the second one, Dweller's Empty Path, looks awfully like a game trailer. Well, that's because it is a game trailer. Dweller's Empty Path is another RPG Maker adventure game, once again primarily made by Temmie Chang, with songs from Toby Fox and Camellia. It is essentially the sequel to Escaped Chasm, picking up some time after the last game's true ending, the one where the lonely girl turns into a wolf. Though unlike Escaped Chasm, Dweller's Empty Path is made with an aesthetic similar to a Game Boy game. Personally, I do really like it. I don't really remember the last time I saw a game use this art style that well, with pictures this detailed. I mean, look at this shot you can see from up a mountain for one. Oh, and this carriage ride too. I absolutely love the look of this game's pixel art. Now, what about plot and gameplay? Well, the adventure is a bit longer this time. You take the role of Yoki, the very same girl who appeared in one of the dream sequences of Escaped Chasm. The story begins as Yoki wakes up after a nightmare. Believing she knows the cause, she gets out of bed, and we're officially free to explore. If you check out the book on the table, you see that it's a diary and that it allows you to save. Like I said, this game is longer than the last one, so a save system was 100% necessary this time around. Exploring the house a little bit, you'll find Claire, Yoki's witch friend and roommate, who is also a wanted criminal, the reasons for which are explained a bit later. They chat for a bit, and Yoki decides to confront Zera, the guy who she thinks is responsible for her nightmares. Going outside... Oh, it's him again. Yeah, that's Zera. I don't have to keep referring to him as hot demon guy any longer. Not sure if I'm relieved or disappointed by that fact. He claims it's got nothing to do with Yoki's nightmares. Yoki, of course, doesn't believe a thing he says. After a short conversation, your objective is, well, to do whatever you want, pretty much. Okay, so here's how Dweller's Empty Path works. There are a total of 31 events you can witness in the game by talking to people and interacting with stuff. When Yoki goes to sleep, the game will give you an ending based on the number of events you discovered, along with a few other specific flags you triggered, or didn't. It's essentially a similar principle from Escaped Chasm, but applied to a much larger game and world. Instead of 4 days, there's just one, but with a lot more optional content. I won't go through all of it here, partly because it would take a lot of time, and also because I think it's definitely worth finding out everything on your own. For example, you can actually go and find the lonely girl from the first game. She's living in the forest as a wolf girl now. And hey, good old Melody is here too, and looking better than ever. You can also eventually go on a broom ride with Claire and hear a heart-to-heart between her and Yoki. Going outside the forest, you can reach a village and play through a side quest involving Yoki working for the post office, led by this guy named Este, and delivering letters around town. And if you've been paying attention to the villagers talking about a prince, well, you can visit him in his castle. Apparently Yoki does jobs for him occasionally, and the prince tells her she'll have to go on a new mission soon to exterminate a beast type. What's that? What's a beast type? Well, see, I could spend some time explaining that, but one of the things I love the most about Dweller's Empty Path is how the world building was all conveyed to me little by little through multiple conversations. When it comes to world building and lore, it's easy to just have one long dialogue explaining everything, and depending on the case it works. For one, if your protagonist is meant to be just as ignorant about the rules of the world as the player is, then yeah. Long exposition can make sense if done properly, but sometimes it's best to leave information split in smaller chunks and distributed along more casual conversations. The term beast type, for example, is casually dropped for the first time in a dialogue with low stakes. Then later on, you'll probably come across another character, or the books in this library here, that help explain what it is. This is the kind of thing that makes the world actually feel like a real place. I mean, sure, you, the player, wouldn't know what these concepts are, but the people who live here do, and it's a part of their daily lives, including our protagonist. So it's best to follow the good old advice of, don't give the players 4, give them 2 plus 2. And it works really well. After a handful of interactions, I felt like I had a good grip on what makes this world go round. Dweller's Empty Path invites you to keep looking around every corner for new secrets, and talk to all those different characters with different points of view. It was only when I had found nearly every event in the game that I started to actively feel like I was trying to quote-unquote collect interactions rather than simply exploring a game world, which I think is a great thing. If you're only missing a handful of interactions though, these birds should help. There's a handful of them around and they hint at one of the events you haven't triggered yet. Though I do wish they looked a bit more distinct from the other regular birds. It does get a bit confusing sometimes. This, along with the forest area being a bit too cumbersome to navigate considering this game is heavily reliant on backtracking, are pretty much my only criticisms to Dweller's Empty Path. Now, this time around, I won't spoil the ending, as in the true ending you get after finding all 31 events, but I do want to talk about what happens after, because it's my biggest reason for making this video. After you see the ending, you appear in a room, this time controlling a bird, and in the room with you is Temmie. Talking to her, you can hear a little bit more about the lore behind this world and even play a little epilogue to the story. But what really caught my attention is what she had to say about the development process for Dweller's Empty Path. I've deliberately neglected to mention it up until this point, but the same thing happened before in Escaped Chasm. When clearing the game, you go to a similar room, except in that game, you're a cat. In both cases, Temmie uses the opportunity to talk about how both games were made as her training in RPG Maker, how she used the experience to practice things other than sprite work, like programming, writing, and even music. And by the way, you can even find some of the things she talks about in the game's files in a folder called Extras. Both games have guides and concept art, but Dweller's Empty Path goes even further, including Temmie's attempts at writing songs for the game, and even assets for 2 projects of hers that ended up being cancelled, but that ultimately influenced Dweller's Empty Path. You can even open some text documents where Temmie explains everything. Making a product of your creativity is hard. And I'm not talking about just motivation here. There's a lot of research and learning new skills involved in the process. And obviously a lot of things we try out don't work right away, but sometimes it pays to try. To make something and do your best to put it out there, even if it was, quote-unquote, only a product of your training. You can clearly see the progress between the 2 games. It's not just the amount of content, it's how the systems have evolved, how the world got more complex, how the writing itself got better and more detailed. I know that games improving over sequels might seem obvious, but I think this is special because we're talking about a mostly solo endeavor here. We're seeing the growth of a story, and also the growth of the storyteller. Looking at all this extra content, I could see how much Temmie cared about this universe and how much she improved to bring it to life. It's hard to not be reminded of my own game dev struggles alongside my friends and how much we had to learn as we went. The ideas we had to discard because we lacked the means to execute them, the content we had to cut, and how it always felt great to see people playing what we made. And, well, I suppose it all applies to this channel too. I've always wanted to make this video essay-like style of content, but my biggest issue was always time. I've tried a few different things over the years, tried the live stream, but I realized that it wasn't really making me happy anymore. I just felt stuck no matter what I did. While pondering why that was the case, I remember what I thought were my best streams. The ones where I just covered small games from itch.io because I thought they looked interesting, or when I covered Steam Next Fest games that I thought would be fun. And that, in turn, helped me find hidden gems, and on rare occasions, even led to some exchanges with other devs. And so, that's the path I think I'll try to follow for now. I'm not sure where it will lead, but I think I'm doing the right thing. I'll probably stumble, have some ideas that won't land, get stuck again in that cycle of trying to be consistent on YouTube, but I'll also learn a lot again, and I'll be able to share it with whoever watches this. So even if my PC ends up with a bunch of unreleased scripts, or if I discard a bunch of ideas, or when I inevitably get frustrated with the process, I'll try to take a deep breath and just walk the path, one step at a time, and hopefully you'll find my process a fun one to watch. My name is Strig, and thank you for your patronage. If you're leaving already, please consider leaving a tip in the form of a comment and a like. And if you'd like to come back, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell on your way out. Thank you for visiting Strig's Game Café.